Ah, there we go. Okay. Now the mic's unmuted, and we can get back into another live stream here. Hopefully everyone's ready to go. If you're here at the live stream, that'd be fantastic. And this is, exposing monster CRs with me, Andrew, for D&D CR Exposed, the new official name for the channel. And let me switch over to the live scene before I end up messing that up, as I am prone to do. Population Growth and Clawpaw. Hello, hello. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Just a heads up, the next 2 weekends I'm going to have to... Yes, exactly, Clawpaw. I thankfully remembered to switch the screens. The next 2 weekends I'm going to be adjusting the Saturdays to the Monday nights. So next weekend, instead of it being on the Saturday, will be the following Monday for the next 2 weeks because I have some family engagement stuff to take care of. And with that news and information out of the way, I will obviously update on the Discord and the channel later on for the switches in the live stream. But let's jump right into this since there's really not much else to talk about. There is actually one thing to mention in the on the tool which is getting a little bit of testing. Down here next to the reset button is a new section, real tiny, nothing too special, but it's a conversion. And the conversion is from effective DPR to effective hit points. And this is generally going to be for defensive and controlling spells. Controlling spells, maybe like sleep, could be more kept as effective DPR, but effective hit points could be something from a defensive spell, maybe like teleport and so on. Thank you, Clawpaw, for asking. I am doing really well. We had a good weekend here. Well, the weekend's not over yet. I still have Sunday, but Sunday's going to be a busy day, as it always is. I do a lot of prep work for the show, or for the channel, and some other stuff. Usually I have my alternating Sunday group for D&D. But we just watched Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. That was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I've never read anything, like any of the comic books for Shang-Chi. So I had no idea what to expect, and it was enjoyable. It was cool seeing Cho from Doctor Strange. He was in there. And that's about all I'm going to say, because I don't want to ruin it for anyone that hasn't seen it. But it was fun. It was a good movie. So yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you for asking, Clawpaw. So down here, this little thing I'm testing out is effective DPR to effective hit points. Now the thing is that I had to do a little bit of thought process here, because there's a hidden ratio here. And the ratio actually turns out to be, for every 1 damage per round, it's effectively 2.5 hit points. So this works from CR 1 to 30. As for the CR fractions, those are really kind of all over the place, so I kind of hand wave that. But let's say we have a spell that's doing 14 effective damage per round from like a level 1 spell. If we tap that in there, we can see that that spell should be equivalent to roughly 35 effective hit points. And so far, it seems to work. I'm trying this out with this week's shorts. So from tomorrow through the end of the week, from Sunday to Saturday, you'll see more stuff in the defensive CR section, which seems to work out. I actually tried it both ways with effective DPR and effective hit points, and everything lined up the same. Cool, thanks, Clawpaw. And yeah, let's jump right into this. Clawpaw has given us a couple monsters to take a look at, and Population Growth, or anyone else that may be on the live stream right now, if you've got a suggestion, go ahead and throw it in the chat, and we can add that to the list. First, we'll take a look at the Cursed Minotaur. Fun-looking monster here. From Amonkhet. Let's see, art is copyright of Wizards of the Coast, and converted by RPG Conversions. Oh, cool. All right. I did see the Amonkhet plane shift, so I wasn't sure if that was from the Magic the Gathering stuff, but maybe it wasn't something that was added in later on, or I don't know. But anyways, let's take a look at the Cursed Minotaur. So we have a medium undead that is, let's see here, CR 8 with 16 natural AC. We've got 14 D8 hit dice, followed by 20 strength, 10 dex, 20, 6, 10, and 6. After that, we've got into the monster skills area. We've got 2 saving throws, so we don't have to worry about modifying that. That's not going to do anything for our monster. Skills don't matter. Those will be helpful later on. We do have 2 damage resistance conditions here for cold and necrotic, but since there's only the 2, and very unlikely to happen, I mean, cold actually has a higher chance to happen than necrotic, we probably won't see this all that much. And then condition immunities don't matter, and we can skip through the rest of this. So there's really nothing to worry about from this section here. Now we can come down into the monster traits and take a look at Undead Fortitude, which we do have a section for. So we'll come down here and tick the mark, and we'll see that our Undead Minotaur will gain technically plus 14 effective hit points for that Undead Fortitude. More than likely, this monster may survive 2 deadly attacks and keep it alive longer. I actually had a couple of zombies that were they zombies? Yeah, I think they were zombies. Yeah, that survived I think like 3 or 4 rounds, maybe even a 5th round. It was absurd, and it just made the game drag on way too long. And then after that, we've got Menace. When an enemy attacks the Cursed Minotaur alone in melee combat, or the enemy has no ally within 5 feet of the Cursed Minotaur, all the enemy's attacks have disadvantage. Oh, that's neat. It's similar to, it's actually the reverse of the Swashbuckler for the Rogue subclass, where the Swashbuckler can have advantage as long as they're by themselves. The Menace is the reverse, and all the attacks when they're by themselves are at disadvantage. So that's pretty neat. Unfortunately, that's not going to affect our monster CR at all, and actually it's going to technically affect the target or the player, whoever happens to be next to the Minotaur. Next, we have Savage Attackers. Once per turn, when you roll damage for a melee weapon attack, you can re-roll the weapon's damage dice and use either total. Now, this is nice. This is an interesting feature, and I might say that Savage Attackers would probably add like +1 DPR, maybe +2. This could be something along the lines of Aggressive or Rampage, honestly. It's not going to do much difference, and there's, you know, if you're rolling a d6, let's just say we're rolling a d6 for the weapon, or a d8, doesn't really matter, and you roll a 3 on that die roll, and then you decide, okay, well, because of Savage Attackers, once per turn when you roll damage for the melee weapon, you can re-roll the weapon's damage dice and use either total. You might roll the 3 again. You might roll less. So there's no guarantees, and technically, I wouldn't really worry about Savage Attacker. Like I said, if we really want to do something with that, maybe use Aggressive or Rampage. It's not going to make much of a difference, honestly. Let's see here. Clawpaw. I think this is an effect transition from Magic Gathering. Okay. As it cannot get blocked there, so I guess that's some sort of related thing. Not being stopped equals inflicting disadvantage. Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, for the Menace, that makes total sense. But again, because it's affecting someone else and not really, well, let's take another look at Menace real quick. When the enemy attacks the Cursed Minotaur alone in melee combat, or the enemy has no ally within 5 feet of the Cursed Minotaur, all the enemy's attacks have disadvantage. Probably 1 round, I would say. You know, if we expect the average of roughly 3 players in the group attacking the Minotaur, I usually expect 1 melee, 1 ranged, be it, you know, like a ranger or some kind of spellcaster, and a 3rd class that probably ducks in and out, like a rogue or a bard or some other, maybe even a monk or something that's back and forth between, kind of like midfield. I wouldn't really see this coming off and working all that much. How would that translate though? Well, let's come back to this in a little bit. Maybe we could say +1 effective AC from this later on. Good point on that, Clawpaw. We'll come back to that. As for Savage Attackers, do I have anything down here? I don't think I do. And it's not too often I see that come up. Anyways. I wonder if there's another monster with Savage Attackers. Let me see if there's something like that real quick on the side here. I don't think there is. No, there's nothing there. Okay. All right. So we'll come back to these 2 if we need to, and let's take a look at Charge next. So we have Charge, and because of how charge works, we're expecting to charge every round of combat. So this Minotaur is supposed to be attacking someone, turning and then attacking someone else, and dealing with the attacks of opportunity. And we are dealing, let's see here. If the Cursed Minotaur moves at least 10 feet straight forward towards the target and hits with a horn attack on the same turn, the target takes an extra 9 points of damage. Alright, so we are going to need to do a horn attack in order to get that. Alright, so then charge. That's charge. We might have to take that out if the slam is better. So that's all we've got for the monster traits here. We'll probably have to come back and take a look at this if we're underneath. If we're over, then I really wouldn't worry too much about it. So we have a multi-attack. The Cursed Minotaur can make 2 attacks, and the attacks have a +8 to hit. So we'll throw that in now. And then, let's see here, we've got Slam, which is going to be 1d8 plus 5, coming from Strength, I'm sure, yeah. Okay, d8 plus the 5 for 9.5 points of damage, and an additional Necrotic, 7 Necrotic. Okay, so that's just 2d6 there. And then the Horn Attack is 10 damage from the 1d10. Okay, so we'll throw that in. Add in the Strength. Ooh. Excuse me, getting sleepy already. And those are our attacks. All right, so the first attack is the 9.5 plus the 7, and the second attack is 10.5 plus the 7 as well. So we have a 16.5 and 17.5. Not too much difference. I should have seen that already with the horn and slam attack. Let's see here. So what's going to do more damage? Already, it looks like the charge... No, the charge isn't going to be more damage, actually. So we have 2 possibilities here. We have our slam times 2, or we have our horn attack and the charge. And the charge, I'm just going to simply add in the 9.5, was it? No, it's 9. Okay. For a total of 26.5. So technically, the multi-attack is better. And I wouldn't recommend charging because, yeah, that's going to be the whole attack. You're gonna charge in. You're gonna do the horn attack, plus you're gonna get the charge damage, and then the creature might be knocked prone, and that's it. You don't get the benefits of the prone. Any of the Cursed Minotaur's other minions or other allies will get the benefit of the prone, which could be handy, but you know, maybe if there's a rogue style monster or something in there with it. For raw damage, let's just go, we're going to tick off the charge because we're not going to be charging at all. And we're just going to be doing every round of combat, the multi-attack of 2 slams. So we'll take that, multiply it by 3. And we're seeing a CR6 so far. So let's see what we could do with these 2 here and make up some difference somehow. I have a feeling charge may have been added in, so let's see what happens if we add charge as well. So that bumps it up to a CR7, and maybe with Menace, we'll add in a +1 AC bonus there. Okay. So we technically have a little bit of extra damage here from the Savage Attacker for +2 DPR. We've got the charge going in, which... you know, I wouldn't recommend it because if we do, let's see here, we'll do the first round of that and not add anything in, and then we'll do 2 rounds of this times 2. Yeah, we're still seeing a CR7, so we could do the charge the first time, but technically that should only be 3 DPR because we're only doing it the one time. So, let's see. Yeah, I mean, we would have to do this every round of combat, and if we do it every round of combat, then it's still a CR6 if we're doing the charge every round of combat. So it's pretty close. There's really not much going on here. Honestly, it looks like this Cursed Minotaur is overrated. There's really no easy way to get it up, and these 2, the Savage Attacker and the Menace, might be custom. They could potentially be custom traits here. What happens if we add in damage resistance? Let's see if they counted that in. Okay. That's possibly how they got the CR8. By calculating in cold and necrotic, this may be what they did. And let's see here. Let me go back to just the raw slam damage, or the slamming here, and get rid of the charge. Yeah, okay. That's the problem. They got a CR8 off of cold and necrotic. You're not going to see that very often. I mean, the most you're going to see necrotic might be from clerics and Toll the Dead, or some warlocks maybe. And I know warlocks will have necrotic damage too, and then cold. So yeah, no, this is really just a CR6 monster, unfortunately. Or do we have 7? How did I get... Oh, if we're looking at the menace. I guess 7, so it's close. Yeah. Alright, so... It's still overrated. How would we want to fix this? Usually 1 extra attack, but that might be too much. Let's see. Let's try 1 more attack here and say 3 slam attacks just for the heck of it. No, actually, alright. So 3 slam attacks would do it. Let's see here. Cold necrotic. Oh, they probably forgot fire damage too, because of course they need it. True. Yeah, if you wanted to do that as a quick fix as well, just add in 1 more, and then technically I would add in the damage resistance, like you said there, Clawpaw. Fire would be a very good thing for them to have, although most people think, as far as I'm aware, or at least how I take it, you know, oh no, I'm thinking of mummies. Excuse me, I got mummies on the brain. So yeah, let's see here. Let's take that back to 2. And if we simply do the damage resistance, and we say, all right, you know, fire, like you said. There we go. Then we have our CR8, and then we have a tank. Otherwise, if we don't count in the resistances and we add in 1 more slam attack, then we have more of an aggressive monster, more of a striker. Yeah, let's see here. Go back to this, times that by 3. Yeah, and then we have a striker. Coco Loco, hey, how's it going? Haven't seen you in a while. Do you find that the newer monsters, Fizzban, Strixhaven, Van Richtens, that have the new design approach tend to be more evenly rated? You know, Coco, it's really a toss-up, honestly. I haven't looked at any Strixhaven monsters yet, but from Fizzbans and Van Richtens, I'm still seeing monsters that are off. I was surprised to see like the metallic great worms were evenly rated pretty much across the board. They needed a small tweak, but the gem great worms were off a little bit. So it really varies. I think it's just a weird case of whoever is designing the monsters, because I'm sure it's not one person. I'm sure they reach out to a few different people, you know, maybe 5 or 10 different people, and have them create a couple monsters. That's not a problem, Coco. You make it when you can make it. I'm not worried about it. There's always the VOD later on if you want to watch them, which would be super appreciated. So it's cool, but thank you for reaching out and making the live stream tonight. Super awesome. Clawpaw, let's see here. My archaeologist brain has to get this one out. Sorry. So technically the cursed minotaur is also a mummy because of dehydration and preservation of the desert sand. Hence natural mummy. But yeah, it's a mummy. Yes, that's probably why I was also thinking der mummy. Oh, thank you, Coco. That's so... I really appreciate that you're watching everything. That's awesome. Although, I have to cringe a little bit from my older videos. Like, the first ones I did. Ooh, those are so rough now compared to where I am now. And how comfortable I am, especially with live streaming and making the videos and whatnot. Someone had commented on the Drow Priestess of Lolth video or something. It was either on here, on YouTube, or on TikTok. And I was just like, oh, no. Oh, those are so old. Oh. Even my original shorts are very dated. So here we go. If you want the Cursed Minotaur, you know, we have 2 different quick fixes for our Cursed Minotaur. We can either add in fire to the damage resistance to make it more of a tank, but this would be a magical tank, you know, a mage tank, not really a tank for melee. Yes, exactly, Coco. So yes, the Cursed Minotaur is a mage tank if we add in fire damage, or otherwise we could just make it a striker monster that goes in and deals more damage by adding in a third melee attack for slam. Or we could also increase the charge damage and make that a little more worthwhile. Really depends. But anyways, let's reset the tool, and since I haven't seen any other requests, let's take a look at the other monster that Clawpaw had set up, which is the Dread Wanderer from the same setup for Amonkhet. So let's see here. I've got that. Got the tool reset. We've switched over. I don't have to. Oh yeah, you know what? I know what I forgot to do here, and that was take a note. Cursed Minotaur. Am I spelling that? I'm horrible. Okay, yeah. And what you said earlier, Clawpaw, totally makes sense about it being a mummy, basically. Oh yeah, I have a whole bunch of Monster Manual Expanded requests. Someone over on TikTok was just like, hey, can you do these? I go, sure, my list is getting really short, so I gotta start cycling these ones in too. Alright, so let's take a look at this Dread Wanderer. Let's see, 8, and I'm sure I spelled that wrong, but anyways. Alright, Dread Wanderer, medium undead, 15 AC. Let's see here. 15 AC, medium, 10 hit dice. We've got for stats 18, 10, 18, 4, 6, and 6. Should be a CR 4. Oh, it's smaller. And then we have, let's see here, 2 saving throws, so we'll skip over that. And then we have damage resistance to cold and necrotic, plus we also have damage immunities to poison. So we may have to come back to this later on if this is anything like before. Let's see here. Converted by RPG conversion. So yeah, we may have the same problem as the last one. Oh yeah, Clawpaw. Yep, there's an Oni Lord in the Monster Manual Expanded 1 or 2. I don't remember exactly which one. Yeah, Oni Lord, Baneguard Drakes, or excuse me, Baneguard Skeleton, Direguard Skeleton, Arania Elder, Passion Devil, Palerian, I think I said that right, Sorrowsworn the Grim, and then Dark Soul and Radiant Soul. So, should be a fun list once I get to those. Alright, and then back to the monster skills area. That's pretty much everything. We don't have to worry about any of these. So we'll skip over this section and move right down into the monster traits. And we have, once again, have Undead Fortitude. So we can easily click that in. And we're only getting +7 this time because of the breakpoint at CR 5 to 6. After CR 5, 6 to, I believe it's 6 to 10, get +14 and then +21. It's not a lot of effective hit points, but for the lower monsters, it kind of works out good. After that, we have Regeneration, and the Dread Wanderer regains 5 hit points at the start of the turn, and there's no way to stop it. That's terrible. You can't stop this regeneration. So normally you would see something like Radiant or Fire and Acid for trolls, Radiant for the undead, but there's nothing here. So technically, this Dread Wanderer is unstoppable. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's unstoppable to the point until you hit 1 hit point, but nothing else stops the regeneration. Probably because it's so low. Let me, a little asterisk there. Once it hits 0 hit points, then it's dead. And then after that, we have the Sand Aura. The Dread Wanderer is surrounded by an aura of sand. Any creature that gets within 5 feet of the Dread Wanderer must make a Wisdom save or be blinded by for 1d4 rounds. The blindness lasts for 1d4 rounds or until the target takes an action to wipe the sand from their eyes. So we have, let's see here. Oh, that's the curse of wandering her ladies, wandering here, ladies and gentlemen, gentlefolk. Yes, the curse of wandering. Okay, so we have the Sand Aura with a DC 14 and blinded. So let's go to the spell damage lookup, and luckily I already have blindness deafness set up from before, and that's 16 effective DPR. And here's a good example of how to use this small little spot I added in here for the EDPR to EHP for effective hit points. So blindness deafness technically isn't a damage dealing spell. And because it blinds a target and makes it harder for the target or player to hit, this could be helping the monster save hit points. So that's why I suggest some of these spells now use the conversion here from effective DPR to effective hit points. So if we just type in 16, we'll see that the blindness deafness spell should be worth 40 effective hit points. And because we are targeting 2, when, let's see here, blindness deafness, I believe, only targets 1. You can blind or deafen a foe. So yes, blindness deafness only targets 1. Because we have, let's see here, within 5 feet, we'll see about that. I'm going to say we'll do 80 and then back it up because it's only 5 feet. So in theory, we might only have 1 target to blind at any given time. But usually with AoEs, we always expect 2. So for the time being, I'm going to come in here and say 40 times 2 just so I know what's going on. So the Sand Aura should give our Dread Wanderer roughly 80 effective hit points or possibly 32 effective DPR if you want to go that route. And now that we have the monster traits out of the way, let's take a look at the actions. And with the actions, we have, let's see here, Dread Wanderer makes 2 attacks. And looks like we can do either the Slam or the Bite since the Sandblast isn't an attack. Because obviously it says melee weapon attack here. And those both have a +6 to hit. And the Slam is dealing 1d8. Let's see here, 1d8 plus strength, I'm sure, for a total of 8.5, which is right. Plus 7 necrotic. So this person's really enjoying their necrotic damage here. And then the Bite does pretty much the same thing as, as the Centaur. Or the Minotaur, excuse me. And that one is also 1d10 plus 4. Okay. 9.5. So we have our, let's see here, same setup as before for our Slam and the Bite. Pretty straightforward. And then let's see here, Sandblast is the last attack. The Dread Wanderer can thrust the sand spiraling around him towards a target, dealing 13 bludgeoning damage. The target must also roll a wisdom save or be blinded from sand. Alright, so we're blinding again. From sand getting into their eyes. The blindness lasts for 1d4 rounds or until the target takes an action to wipe the sand from his eyes. Alright, so regardless, we're going to have at least one target blinded with sand. Oh, wow. Okay. A target. So there's no range here. Are we suggesting that it's just within the Sand Aura? Or can we go as far as we want with this? That's a good question here. I'm going to guess that the intention was that we are doing it only within 5 feet. So this is like a technically another, I don't know. It's so low in damage though, comparatively. I mean, if we want the blindness and the damage, that last attack is only going to be doing 13.5. All right, so we'll totally skip over this the Sandblast since it's not going to be doing anything. But we have a couple different options for multi-attacks here. The easiest one is going to be the one that does the most damage is going to be the 2-bite attack, since we can do 2 of anything. So that's going to be our most damaging attack here. We could also do 1 bite and 1 slam or 2 slams, but because we're going to have less damage, we won't bother with it. Clawpaw, good question, but maybe in 60 feet? You got me, I'm guessing. Who knows? Yeah, I would say maybe upwards of 60 to 30 feet, or 30 to 60 feet. I have no idea. That's tricky. I'd have to see like the actual source of where or what this monster came from, unless it was just, I mean, it says conversions. I don't know. Anyways, it's a oddball attack action. Strange. Anyways, so we have our multi-attack set for 2 bite attacks, since that's going to be dealing the most amount of damage, and we'll just multiply that by 3 rounds of combat, and we end up with a CR4. Or, excuse me, CR7. I was looking at the CR4 and didn't read the CR7 over here. Okay. let's tone back the extra hit points here from the blindness aura. And let's go with that instead. Let's say we're only blinding one creature. Well, now we're looking at CR6. What if we were to use the EDPR in an attack instead? So if, let's suggest that the sand aura is blinding someone, one target, and we're doing the 16. We should see, let's see here, times that by 3 because we're expecting every round at least the one target to be blinded. We're still getting a CR6, so this is what I was saying before. Even though, you know, it looks like there's a giant jump here, it's still pretty much even from effective DPR to effective hit points. And if we take the 16 and multiply that by 2 targets as well, we're going to get the CR7 again. So this one is very underrated, even without having the damage resistances or the immunities in place. So, what is the quick fix for this one? Well, probably toning back one. We don't do any kind of a multi-attack. Let's say we just do one attack instead. And let me get rid of this. Let me put this back onto effective hit points so we get that in the right technical area. And we say only one attack instead. Well, that gets us to CR5, so we're close. If we get rid of this, I mean, the sand aura is cool. Let's see here. Yeah, that's, Coco, that's the thought I had too. The range may just be unlimited, like, you know, 3 miles down the road or, you know, 5 kilometers down the road. This person could just do all of a sudden someone gets, you know, blasted in the face with sand. What the hell? I'm just picturing that now, and it's got me. It's really funny to think about that. He's just got some dread wanderer walking around, and all of a sudden you're sitting at a cafe having lunch, and you get blasted in the face. Oh man. Anyways, I would want to hope so, but the range doesn't really make much of a difference, to be honest. Yeah, it does, Clawpaw. It does open up some unfair tactical possibilities. As for the range, you know, if we have a person using a short bow versus someone using a long bow, there's really no difference in the attack range besides just the damage. Well, there is a difference in the range of attack, but the damage is what's really going to make up the difference here, because what we're expecting is the monster to be within range for the attack. Exactly, Coco. You walk in, sand attacks you. The target is actually across the globe. Somehow it just follows the arc of the globe and hits pinpoints. It's oh man, like the cartoons of, you know, old Looney Tunes cartoons or something, where, you know, people are just seeing this zip of sand go by. It's like, what in the world was that? It happens all the time. So, looks like, regardless of how we really work this monster, it's going to be overrated without modifying and the attack somehow. I mean, we could try toning down the damage dice a little bit, or we get rid of the necrotic damage. So let's say we do that instead. We go back to a multi-attack, and we delete the necrotic damage. Let's see what happens there. No, it still didn't do anything. Wow. Okay. All right. So that's that is a good adventure hook, Coco. I like that. It's sitting there, and all of a sudden, bam, gets zipped in the face. Like, what the frig? All right. So the easiest way I've found to get this Dread Wanderer down to a CR4 as printed here would be to, 1, get rid of the necrotic damage, 2, get rid of the multi-attack. That's kind of boring. I mean, as we're seeing here, our blue is really high, so we have a tank. And tanks generally aren't the most fun to have in a battle, especially if they're the last one standing. So I would suggest, let's see here, just using it as a CR6 or CR7. If we go back to where it was before, what else am I missing here? yeah, if we expect only one person in the sand ore at any given time, and we keep everything the way it is, just use it as a CR6 and update the XP to 2,300 and modify it that way. That's what I would suggest. That's the quickest fix right there. It's now this CR instead of what's printed. So we've got a couple options to fix the Dread Wanderer, and have fun with it in your desert attacks, or if randomly your level 1 players get hit in the face with sand and then they're dead. Unless you start at level 3, then they could probably take the hit. I mean, 13 average damage is going to be one player's total hit points at level 1. Something like that, would be fun for the lulz and the memes, but you'd probably want it to start the players off at level 2 for something along those lines. Yikes. Okay, so with those monsters completed and looked at, let me take a note here. And do we have any other recommendations for this? Any other monsters we'd like to see? I'm still going to be on till 11 o'clock tonight. We've got 26 minutes to go. Otherwise, we could probably start looking at some of these other ones here. We could look at some of the Monster Manual Expanded, or something else here that's going on. I did look at a majority of these here, except for the Virtuoso Lich. That was another request from the Creature Codex, I believe. Let me start pulling up my books here. Alright, Tome of Beast 2, Creature Codex, okay. I know that Virtuoso Lich is going to be terrible with all the spells. It's going to be a pain in the butt. I know it. Monster Manual Expanded. Where's that one? Okay. Let's take a look at the Oni Lord, since Clawpaw had mentioned that one before. Unless I get some recommendations before I find this one. Let's see here. Oni. We have Oni Night Hunter, Oni Mage, Oni Lord, and Oni Yamauba. Well, let's go to the Oni Lord. Oh god, it's got spellcasting. Of course it's got spellcasting. Oh no. Spellcasters take so long. Okay. Let's get into this. Ow, I got something in my eye. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Go over here. I think I reset that already. But let's take a look at the Oni Lord from the Monster Manual Expanded 1 book. Apparently the 3rd book is coming out soon. There was some tweets about it on the Twitter. And we have ourselves a large Oni with 17 AC from Splint Mail. Should be CR 16. And we've got 21 hit dice with the stats as follows: 21, 11, 18, 20, 14, and 18. Okay. After that, we have 4 saving throws of Dex, Con, Wisdom, and Charisma. So that's going to give a +2 effective hit point or AC bonus. And then we've got skills, senses, languages. Nothing else really important going on there. After that, we do have innate spellcasting of Darkness and Invisibility, and then 2 per day each of Charm Person, Cone of Cold, Gaseous Form, and Sleep. We'll come back to those in a second. Magic Weapons has no effect. We also have a whole bunch of spellcasting, which is going to take a while. Firebolt, Mage Hand, Minor Illusion, Detect Magic, Ice Knife, Shield. Shield's a big one, so we'll know that one is going to be the reaction. And Shield is right there, giving our Oni +5 AC bonus every round of combat. It uses it, or needs to use it. We are expecting to use it every round. And then we also have Dragon's Breath, Scorching Ray, Misty Step, which is a bonus action. We could potentially use that. Dispel Magic, Erupting Earth, Thunder Step, Charm Monster, Dimension Door, Stone Skin, Dominate Person, Steel, Wind Strike, Synaptic Static, Chain Lightning, Tenzer's Transformation, Symbol, Whirlwind, Mighty Fortress, and Power Word Stun. Okay. Chain Lightning's gonna be a good one. Oh, God, that fixed it a little bit. Okay. That was hurting my eyes. Let's come back to the spell casting in a little bit. I'm going to get through some of these other ones here. We have Regeneration. And let's see here. Regen. We've got 10 per turn. So that's helpful. Legendary Resistance for 3 uses. And Swift Caster. Recharge 5/6. When the Oni casts a spell, it can choose to change the casting time of the spell to 1 bonus action. Huh. That's going to make my life difficult. Oh, no. Oh, of course. So we could swift cast one thing and then use a cantrip of Firebolt, Mage Hand, or Minor Illusion. So Firebolt would follow up with probably what? Swift cast Chain Lightning or something? I don't know. Right. All right. Let's take a look at some of the other stuff here before we get into the spell casting. We'll move down into the actions, then the legendary actions, and a massive reaction. Oh, this is going to take some time. Okay. Multi-attack. It only makes 2 attacks, either with its claws or its greatsword. So it's either claws or the greatsword. Sure. All right. But we do have a +10 to hit, so we'll throw that in so I don't forget that. And the claw is dealing 1d8 +5 slashing damage, so I'm not going to worry about up there since there's not a lot to go on. That's just going to be 9.5 there. The great sword is going to be 4d6 +5. Let's just throw that in for the heck of it. 4d6 +5 there. So we have our 19, which is perfect. Okay, good. So we've got the 19 for the great sword, and then we have change shape. We're not going to worry about change shape because it takes an action to use, and it actually, let's see here, doesn't modify the hit points either. So there's really no good use for that except for prior to combat. In combat, change shape is not the best thing unless you want trying to escape, I would assume. So what are we going to do for the most amount of damage? Obviously, we're going to use the greatsword here. We'll times that by 2, since we can do that twice. And then let's take a look at our legendary actions. Let's see here. The Oni makes a claw or a greatsword attack. Well, that's pretty straightforward. We're going to obviously use the greatsword if we have it. You know, I would assume we're having that in place, and we can do that 3 times. So we're going to say that legendary action number 1 will be a total of 57 points of damage. We can then either command for the next one. The Oni targets 1 ally it can see within 30 feet of it. If the target can see and hear the Oni, the target can make 1 weapon attack as a reaction and gain advantage on the attack roll. That's cool. Helps out. I mean, technically it's on... excuse me. Technically it's on the Oni's turn, but because there's no way to gauge what the monster is going to deal for damage, I'm just going to say... a 0 for now on that one because there's too many variables or possibilities for that legendary action. And then lastly, we have cast a spell for 2 action points here. The Oni casts a spell from its list of innate or prepared spells using a spell slot as normal. Okay, so that makes life extremely difficult because we're going to have to go through that huge list and figure out all these spells. So then let's take a look after that. We'll come back to this once we get our spells taken care of, and we'll see Fade into Mist as a reaction. Recharges in a 5 to 6. When hit by an attack roll, the attack instead misses, and the Oni turns into a gaseous form. Moves up to 60 feet away to an unoccupied space it can see. While in this form, the Oni can enter the space of another creature, has resistance to non-magical damage, and it has advantage on... oh wow, that's a 5. Strength, dex, and con saving throws. The target can pass through small holes, narrow openings, and even more mere cracks. Though it treats liquids as though they were solid surfaces, the target can't fall and remains hovering in the air even when stunned or otherwise incapacitated. While in this form of a misty cloud, the target can't talk or manipulate objects. Alright, so on and so forth. We get one use of this. Fade into mist. It's basically gaseous form. So we could say we'll get one use out of that. So what is gaseous form spell? That's a level 3 spell. So let's come over here. Yeah, it seems like it, Coco. They probably could have shortened that up and just says, refer to the gaseous form spell. Alright, so we're seeing 27 effective DPR here for gaseous form. Normally, you would probably keep that going for 3 rounds. But because it's only 1 round, we're going to cut this total in thirds for 1 round of combat. So that's 27. We'll put that into our converter here because it's technically protecting the Oni for 1 round. So we have 67, and we will divide that by 1/3, or multiply it by 1/3, I should say. And we'll just do that here. So we'll say equals, round down, 67 times 1/3. Whoa, what happened? What did I do? 1/3. There we go. So technically the reaction, provided we only see it once because it recharges on a 5 to 6, so that's 1 out of 3 chances. The gaseous or fade into mist could give our Oni an effective plus 22 hit points. Let's see here. For the 3 rounds, would it be better to just use shield? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I marked off shield, so this is kind of pointless. I went through all that for nothing. Oh well. I totally didn't even remember that shield was the reaction. Thank you, Coco. +1 inspiration to you. Warning, may not be valid at your table with your DM. So, yeah, we will totally negate the reactions because we would want to use shield where applicable. Obviously, we could switch back and forth with Fade into Mist if needed as well. Probably a good way to escape when the Oni is getting close to being defeated, to be honest. But for the first 3 rounds of combat, in theory, that won't be an issue. Who knows? All right, so let's take. This is going to take a while. Let's go through the. Let's go through these spells here. So I'm going to make a copy here for the Oni Lord. And this is going to be our spell damage tracker. Don't use this all too often, but when I do, it's long and boring. So we have, let's see here, we're only really looking for damage spells because that's what we're aiming for, the most amount of damage possible. And we have Cone of Cold, so I can't remember what level that is. Cone of Cold, let's see. That's 5th level, all right. So we'll come over here for level 5, grab Cone of Cold. Copy that over to the Oni Lord here. And we're only doing that one because it's at will. Or it's an innate spellcasting, so we only get the lowest level for that. Then we have Firebolt. Okay. And Firebolt's a cantrip, obviously. Oop, I had it. I went too far. Alright, so Firebolt here. Paste that, and let's see here. The Oni is a CR 16, so we would use this one here for its amount of damage you can do with a Firebolt. So it would be dealing what 3d10 dice for that. So we will knock those out for Firebolt, and then let's see here. Ice Knife is next. That's a level 1 spell. All right. And then we have Dragon's Breath, Scorching Ray for 2 and 3, or those as well. Sorry, this is going to be tedious. But this is unfortunately what happens when I have to deal with spellcasters on my own time. Ugh, it gets So long. Scorching Ray. After Scorching Ray, we have Misty Step as well. Misty Step is the bonus action we could do. We don't have any bonus actions in here to deal with, so let's take a step back real quick. And Misty Step is what, a second level spell? Since we can do that as a bonus action, we'll come over here, grab that Misty Step there, and we'll see that it's worth 16 effective DPR, so we'll switch that to hit points, because why not? And we're going to add in 40 to the to here. So we'll say 40 effective hit points for using the bonus action to do Misty Step on that, depending on if we use... I mean, we could just say, all right, all level 2 spell slots are going to be just for Misty Step, at least for the first 3 rounds of combat. We'll see what happens. I'm sure those will be available. So we'll come back over here for our spells. After Scorching Ray, we are now looking at, let's see here, Thunderstep and Erupting Earth. I don't think Erupting Earth does anything. Oh, no, it does. Okay. So we have some damage from Erupting Earth. And we also have Thunderstep. Oops, there we go. Hold the shift button. After Thunderstep, we now have Charm Monster, Dimension Door, Stone Skin. Stone Skin could be handy for the concentration spell. Or Chain Lightning with the Quickening. Yeah, Chain Lightning is probably going to be what we use for the Swift Caster at least once. Yeah, what I normally do, Coco, is once I get all these spells laid out, I look for whatever's going to do the most damage, probably at the highest spell slot, and then go from there. So more than likely, Chain Lightning is probably going to be our Swift Caster spell plus a Firebolt on that round. We'll see what happens once we get there. Dominate Person, Steel Wind Strike, Synaptic Static. I don't think Steel Wind Strike is all that fast. Excellent. Let's see here. Steel Wind. That's only going to do 66, but it's worth a look. Synaptic Static. 28. That's not a whole lot, but there's some rider information on that one. I'm not worried too much about that. Chain Lightning. Okay, let's see here. Chain Lightning. That is our 6th level spell. Doing 90 damage. Tensor's Transformation. Not worried about that. Symbol Whirlwind. Let's take a look at Whirlwind for 7th level spells. Whirlwind will do 70 points of damage. And then after that, we've got Mighty Fortress and Power Word Stun. I don't believe I have anything for Power Word Stun in this chart here. So let's come back over here. Come over to level 8's Power Word Stun and see that it's worth 66 effective DPR. It's good, but because we have so many other spells that do a lot of damage, let's take a look at those and see what we have going on here. Okay, so we're not doing anything for spell level 9, so I'm just going to mark those out. So what do we have that does the most, technically most amount of damage? Erupting Earth would give us the most amount of damage for a 8th level spell slot at 104. Okay, so round 1, we could do Swiftcaster Erupting Earth. So that would be our bonus action there. And then as an action, we could cast Firebolt at 16. And then we would Misty Step another time. So we wouldn't actually do Misty Step this time. So let's see here. All right, I'll come back to that in a minute. And our reaction is shield. Okay. So that takes care of that. But is Erupting Earth a concentration spell? No, it's instantaneous, one action. Okay. We don't have anything so far that is worth concentrating on in theory. Although Stone Skin could have been set up beforehand, I believe. What does Stone Skin do? Concentration up to an hour. Turns the flesh of a willing creature you touch as hard as stone. They have resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. So technically, the Oni could have Stone Skin set up beforehand if we don't use any other concentration spells, which probably is likely the case. All right. So what else are we going to do here for this? What would be the next spell we could use? Because we only have 1/8 spell slot. After that, we have to use level 7s. So the most we have for that, let's see here, we've got 91 for Erupting Earth again. We've got Chain Lightning at 90. All right, Symbol and Whirlwind. I'm going to save that 7th level spell slot and go for the 6 and use Chain Lightning once for that next round. So we'll say Chain Lightning there. And then for round 3, the last spell we could do that's going to be doing a lot more damage than our multi-attack, if we come back over here. Our multi-attack is only doing 38 points of damage. We'll see here. Let's see. We've got 104, 90, 16. I'm not really worried about the 91. We could save that for something else. Our spell slot 6 is used up, so that leaves us with a 5th level spell slot. So what is going to be used there? 66, 65. Steel Wind Strike, I guess. That would probably be the next best option. So we do 66 there. For a total of 92 average damage. So we'll come over here. We'll take that 92 and we'll throw that in right here. And multiply that times 3. There might be better combinations, but for the time being, we'll just go with this. Then we also have to add in the legendary actions, where we could cast a spell as well, and oh god, and then also do an attack. Okay, so we could cast a spell, 3 times, and they're going to be better than the multi-attack because our multi-attack is only 38. So 3 more spells. We need 3 more spells here to finish this off. Oh man. Probably, let's see here. We still have 2 more spell slots at level 5 open. Probably 2 more Steel Wind Strikes, so 65, 66, 66. And then what else? That, and what else could we do here? Ooh, we have a spell slot 4 open, so what could we do from there? 52 with Erupting Earth again. Alright, so we have an average of 61 for all those. So we'll just use the average for now. Come back over here. We'll say this is 61 plus 3 greatsword attacks as well. Yeah. And then we'll just add in legendary actions here, multiply that times 3. And I already knew this was going to be bad. We're looking at a CR 22 so far with all these possibilities here. And just for the heck of it, because we can concentrate on Stone Skin, because we don't have a concentration spell used up, let's throw in resistance. But actually, that's not going to make any difference because now we're up to CR 22. Let's put in the expected CR to 22 or 23. That's going to bring it back down. Now, let's modify this just a little bit. Instead of it being 40, we're going to do it out of 2 rounds. So we'll take the, let's see here, round down, 40 times 2/3. 26 hit points. Okay, that sounds about right. So we still have a CR 22 Oni Lord here. Yeah, that's way too much magic. Way too much for this monster. We're looking at potentially a underrating of, was that 6 levels? 6 CR levels? Oof. Yeah. This is why the third-party books are so much fun. Sorry, everyone, if you're watching this for this whole magic section here and having to dig through all those spells. But I mean, once we found everything and put it in correctly, it looks like it's correct. I will take my time later on when I do the shorts for the Oni Lord. This is pretty bad, especially if you're expecting a CR 16. This is like adult dragon from the monster manual bad. Most of those monsters are easily 5 CR underrated as well. So this has been a fun night. We missed last week because I had some family stuff going on, and I'm glad we got a chance to look at a few more monsters. Clawpaw, let's see here. No, it's all good. That's why we have you here. Exactly. Oh man. Okay. So this has been fun looking at the Oni Lord. I'm gonna let the person from TikTok know how rough this one is, and hopefully we'll have some fun with that. Hey Joe Math, sorry you missed it, buddy. I'm just wrapping up, but at least you made it. We looked at technically 3 monsters recommended or requested by Clawpaw. We had, let's see here, the Cursed Minotaur and Dread Wanderers, which were conversions for Amonkhet settings. And then we just looked at the Oni Lord that took like a good 25 minutes to go through because of how many spells were on that creature or that monster and all of its extra abilities that really made it underrated. Oh, so rough. Oh no. Anyways, exactly, Clawpaw. Better late than never. Thanks everyone for joining me for tonight's live stream. Population Growth, Clawpaw, Coco Loco, and Joe Math, thank you. You guys are awesome. And this is me, Andrew, for D&D CR Exposed, asking, are your encounters even rated? Have a good night, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.